We have seen earlier how ordinary variables can hold one piece of information. So for example, if you have variables A, B, C, you have three variables which are capable of holding three different values. Next, we have seen how we can hold multiple pieces of information of the same data type. For example, you have an array A which can hold 10 integers, or you can have float B which is capable of holding 15 floating point values. These two data types can handle a great variety of situations, but in real time, we have to deal with entities that are a collection of dissimilar data types. So for example, if you take a book has many attributes, right? So some of the attributes can be the title, the number of pages in a book, the price of a book. Title is typically a string. Number of pages is an integer, and price is typically a float. So if you have one book, you might want to store the title as a string, the number of pages as an integer, and the price as a float. Now, let's say you have three such books and you want to store information of three books. Then we can follow two approaches. The first approach is we can construct individual arrays. So one array for storing the title, one array for storing the price, and one array to store the number of pages. Let's look at the setup more closely. So you have main, character title. I'm going to assume my title as a single character to make things simpler. So three books, so three titles, one title for each book. Three books have their own number of pages, so I'm going to store information in the pages array. Float price. Each book has its own price, so I'm going to use an array to store three prices, and the system is going to look as follows. This is array title, capable of storing three titles. Pages, again, capable of storing page numbers of, or the total number of pages in each book. And price, again, we want to store the price of three books, so you have three entries. Okay, since these are arrays, they have indices 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. So in index 0, I'm going to store all the information for book 1 or book 0. In index 1, all information about book 1 is being stored. And in index 2, I'm going to store all information about book 2. Printf, enter title, pages, and price of three books. I'm going to use a loop. So for I equals 0, I less than or equals to 2, I plus plus, I'm going to say scanf percentile C, percentile D, and percentile G, comma, ampersand title of I, ampersand pages of I, ampersand price of I. So when I is 0, I'm going to store information for title 0, pages 0, and price 0, which is basically storing information for book 0. So let's say this is A, pages is 100, and price is 59.99. And when I is 2, all information for book 1 is being stored. So let's say title is B, pages are 150, and price is 69.99. Book C or book 3 when I is 2, pages let's say 75 and price is 39.99. So if I want to get information for book 0, I can print all the array values for index 0. For book 1, I can print all the array values for index 1 and similarly for book 2. So using this approach, it no doubt allows you to store titles, prices, and number of pages. But as you must have realized, it is not a great approach because it obscures the fact that you're dealing with a group of characteristics that are related to a single entity. And that entity is the book. So three attributes or characteristics, title, pages, and price of a single entity, which is the book. As you can see, this program also becomes more difficult if you want to handle more number of attributes related to the book. For example, we would be required to use a number of arrays if we also decide to store like the publisher name, the date of purchase of the book, or the date of manufacture, etc. To solve this problem, we have something known as structures. So solution is structures. So let's see in more detail what structures are made of.